A few weeks ago, you guys might remember Clinton, who called from Canada to ask if he should apply to medical school once again. Weirdly, funnily, coincidentally, the same day we got his submission, we got a second submission about an hour later from another person in his same province asking the same question. This was too good to not take both of them on. And so today, Sarah is calling from British Columbia, from the same province that Clinton was in, asking sort of the same question. I'm curious to see where this one will go. I'm Mauricio Bruce, and this is The Real Question. Hi, Sarah. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
I'm very excited to have you here.
I am pretty excited, like nervously sweaty excited, but pretty excited to be here.
You know how this begins. I'm going to ask you if there's anything that you could share about yourself. What would you like to share?
This is going to be a little mushy for someone who's sometimes prickly on the outside, but pretty mushy on the inside. But I just wanted to share for the listeners and anybody who might need to hear it that they're really important. And I hope they're getting to follow their spark.
But now I have to ask you, are you following your spark?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Oh, what's your question?
So my question was, should I keep applying to med school? Which was kind of delightfully addressed pretty recently, but is a multifaceted question. And then the real question was, what should I do with my life? Which is kind of a big one.
That's not a should I question, so I can't answer it. This is a very strict show.
Yeah. Some parameters are good.
So the question about medical school, I've gotten that one before, as you noted. So I think we can start by tackling that one and trying to understand where you are in your life right now, that this is a question. Should I apply to medical school again? Is that, you said again, right?
Yeah, I'm also an againer. It was actually incredibly overlapping with the episode you guys did with Clinton because I'm also a British Columbian and also a UBC reject.
Are you going to apply to that new school?
Again, applications haven't opened yet, but I will 100% be looking at it. Yes. Being able to stay in province is a potential game changer for me.
So tell me why medical school. Tell me a little bit about yourself, where you are in your life, why you're considering applying to medical school right now, what you're doing right now. I just want to know a little bit about the context of you.
Yeah. It feels like there's a lot of context. I work in primary health care in British Columbia, in rural British Columbia in particular. It's a Canada-wide problem, North America-wide problem, really. We don't have enough primary care physicians, and we haven't for a long time. And in particular, where I live, it's an 8-hour drive to the nearest hospital, which is us, for a huge amount of people who are seeking healthcare. And our hospital, like our emergency room, closes on a somewhat regular basis. And if you need an emergency room and the nearest one becomes 16 hours away, like that is a nightmare. Mm-hmm. Also, in my day-to-day work, which is basically primary care systems reform on a very local level, the number one problem that I solve in all of our different portfolios is actually severe manpower shortage. And even though I love my job and I can make a big difference there, I didn't want to do it for another 10 years without trying everything that I could to solve the problem. So there was one day where we had 2 of our physicians announced that they were leaving at the same time. And they were really integral. One of them was my long-term care lead. One of them was our division board chair. they were really integral people in the community, and losing both of them was they're a married physician pair. So as one goes, so goes the other. But losing them in one day was just a really hard day. And so I Googled, what do you need to go to med school? And it turned out that I had almost everything that I needed to go to med school, except for having written the MCAT, which was a bit of a surprise because I'm not a science kid. I was not aiming for medicine. I was an arts kid. I have degrees in psychology and literature. But when I Googled that and discovered that, I was like, well, how hard could that really be? Which was a wild take because it's really hard. And I didn't take chemistry and I didn't take physics, even in high school. And I work full time and I have 3 small children. My oldest is 8. My youngest is 3.
Oh.
So I taught myself physics and chemistry and biology. Wow. And I wrote the MCAT and I passed it. But I passed it 2 points short of what I'd need for University of British Columbia, which is the only medical school in British Columbia.
And when was that, Sarah? Was that last year? Was that 10 years ago?
That was last year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But my score is good enough for essentially every other province in Canada.
So is this just because BC is particularly strict, or?
No, so Ontario, they prioritize your CARS score, which is like the reading and writing comprehension, and I aced that. So easy money for me in Ontario, in theory. But yes, UBC is really competitive. They're looking for the best of the best. And I am not looking to revolutionize neurosurgery. I mean, I'm sure that I would be interested, but it is rural family medicine is the problem that I'm trying to solve. Because I am from here. I am back here living on my family's ranch on purpose, although I've lived in a bunch of other places. But it was building a life here that was my intention for most of my life. And it is a problem that I do feel very called to solve and feel very rewarded by being a piece of the solution of. I think it's also worth noting, though, that in the past year, my husband of 13 years and I have decided to separate. So handling that at the same time as all of this other stuff feels like my life is in quite a big flux right now. So the question of applying to med schools this year / across Canada / could I actually go if I got in is something that's really hard for me to look directly at.
Okay. I want to start, Sarah, thank you for all that context and for all that background. I'm so sorry that you and your husband have decided to part ways. I know sometimes it's for the best and it's always hard.
Yeah. I think this is for the best. I think that both of us will be happier. We love each other very much, and we live next door to each other on the ranch, and we co-parent beautifully. And I think this was something that we needed to do, but it is hard.
I also hear, as you walk me through all of this, you care a lot about your community, about the people in your community, about the people who you're working with. There's just a lot of care in Sarah. And it sounds to me, and you can correct me in a minute if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like you're coming to the decision of being a doctor from a place of care.
Yeah, I love being connected with people and working with people and helping people. And there's such a big need there that I think I could be a piece of filling, although I am a piece of filling that in the systems that I'm in.
When you talk about becoming a doctor and you talk about this passion to help people, to be a part of your community, to connect with people in your community, you told me you taught yourself physics and you taught yourself chemistry, and you've been putting yourself through this process in order to become a doctor. You started this episode by telling everyone to follow their spark. Have you developed a spark for medicine? Do you feel that there's something there in being a doctor that sparks for you?
Yes. I love the people that I work with, which was one of the first sparks, but also, oh my God, like the body is so wild and complicated. And the way that at a teeny tiny micro level biology overlaps with physics. And I think there's a real advantage actually to coming to MCAT as not a science kid, because I don't have these parameters between like, oh, this is organic chemistry versus this is biochemistry versus, all of these lines, because the MCAT and medicine will ask you to think across those lines and solve problems across all of those, right? Which is kind of an arts kid thing. And I do that really well. And I love that. And you never stop like learning that and refining that. But it's also a lot, like it's a ton of information and so complicated, and you'd never master it, which would be both wonderful and frustrating. And there's so much there to love. And it's beautiful. It's a miracle. Cells are miracles. Bodies are miracles. Millions of cells working together successfully. I don't even know how to explain to you what a miracle this is. It's incredible.
Okay. Spark noted. But so, Sarah, I see your passion. I see your curiosity. I see the caring part of you who just wants to be able to do this and help the community. And I'm just wondering, why is the question here? Why isn't this a yes for you? What is the part of you that says, I don't know?
If I was 10 years younger and I knew that this was something that I'd want to do, I think it would be a really different question. But with my partner and I splitting up and my kids the ages that they are, and knowing that medical school would be at the very least 4 years of pretty extreme grind and 2 years of residency. And I'm hoping that I could come back to my hometown to do residency. But the reality is that it's very likely I'd have to leave the province to be able to go to med school. And I don't know if I could bring my kids with me or not. I don't know if my partner would move or not. It's not 100% off the table, but there's a lot of logistics there. I don't know if I'd want to move my kids away from the ranch that their grandparents are also on and the entire life that they have known. For me to be pretty consumed by school, and I don't know if I can handle living away from them. So I don't know if my mom hat can handle how much it would take of me.
Mm-hmm. Tell me what's going on right now. I just see you sort of looking away and looking up, and I'm wondering what is going through your head.
It's partially trying not to cry. It's also like you can only apply once a year. So it feels like every year feels like a now or never. And I don't know whether I can handle giving up on this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I wonder if we think about it this way, if it'll help. But you're trying to make a choice a little bit in the future, right? Like if I get accepted into medical school and it's in another province, then what am I going to do with my kids? And do I move them? Do I keep them? These questions of logistics, which again are good questions, which we can talk about, but they're all a little bit in the future. It's almost like you're making a decision based on decisions that haven't been made available to you yet. So I'm wondering if we bring the question to right now, to what you can control and to what you can hold right now, which is less a question about what am I going to do with the kids? What am I going to do with my partner? Are we going to leave the farm? Are we going to move to a different province? And the question just becomes, for this moment between you and me, do I apply or not? Knowing that application requires taking the test and studying and getting, I know this from Clinton, getting all the recommendations and all the references. And
So it's actually a different process for every single province. I wouldn't have to retake the test to apply to the other provinces, but it does cost time and money.
So would you not think of applying to your province?
I can't apply to UBC. I'm knocked right out. You don't get past the first gate without the correct MCAT score in every category.
So you see, the question just changed a little bit, because it's just, should I apply out of state in a way, out of province?
Yeah, basically, yes. Or wait a year, see what SFU is going to do, I can take another MCAT, and I do think that I could probably up my physics and chemistry score.
Would you go take a class, a physics and chemistry class?
I probably should take an actual class. Yes.
I'm just because when you say, I'm just going to apply out of state, then I understand the tension and the distress. Because if I do and I get admitted, then I'm definitely leaving the state. And then I have to worry about all these things. There's not even a possibility of you staying.
There is one school that is like Calgary and Edmonton. Calgary does a 3-year program instead of a 4-year program because it goes straight through the summers. And Calgary is not quite so far. There's one in Ontario that's a 3-year program as well that's excellent, and I have family that lives there, so it's like that feels like potentially more of a possibility, but again, the logistics are scary.
I just keep coming back and wondering, and listen, I have inside information just because I spoke to Clinton before I spoke to you, and so I know there's a new school opening up, and there's all this movement in your own province. And I'm just wondering why that isn't a consideration. Is it just because of the MCAT?
It is a consideration, and I guess I'm allowed to take a break from applying for a year and try again next year. But then part of the question, I think, becomes if I'm really only aiming for BC, then I should do another MCAT, which means I basically should start studying now.
And I understand there's this part of you, this really caring part of you that wants to start helping now.
Yes. I think it's partially fear, and it takes years to even start med school for so many people so much of the time, like years and years of applying.
Yeah.
So I think I'm scared to miss any of it's kind of a false scarcity, right? But only being able to apply once a year makes it feel so much more risky to not apply one year.
So let's play with that. If I don't apply this year, then fill in the blank.
Then the soonest I could start is like 2 years out. And what if it becomes too hard to get back on the saddle at that point?
And keep going. If it becomes too hard to get on the saddle, then...
Ooh, okay. Great questions. What if I'm too tired, or I just like having spare time so much that I'm loath to give that up again? Because when I'm in it, I can do it. But when you're out of it, it gets hard to get back in it.
So is this a question of, if I don't apply this year, I might not follow through and not do it next year?
Yes, it is.
There's a thing in psychology, maybe you've heard of it, it's called a double bind. And so the double bind is, if I do this, I'm going to die. If I don't do it, I'm going to die. Right? If I apply to medical school this year and I have to move, it's just going to be so much, and my kids. But if I don't apply this year, then I'm not going to do it again, and it's going to just be so much, and I'm going to regret. And it's sort of like, either way you choose, it's going to be a, quote unquote death.
This is why the question is, what do I do with my life?
So there's this idea that we need to release so that more options can become available. This idea that it's now or never. This now or never idea is the one that has you in this bind. That way hurts too. And so if we can think of it more as, can we birth this Sarah of the future who you can trust enough to say, yeah, Sarah of the future's got this. In a way, I don't. And so Sarah of the future is going to plan, take the class, take the MCAT, prepare, and then have more options for me in a year. It won't be the dream dies.
Yeah. Sarah has always had a really hard time trusting.
Because again, in the place you've put yourself right now, it's all or nothing. I either go all the way and move my family and go through this flux that I'm going through right now and like change my whole life, or I stay here forever and do the same job for another 10 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, what would it take to let that all or nothing idea die so that we can meet a Sarah that could say, yeah, I'm going to organize myself. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to prepare for another MCAT. And I'm going to see if next year I can apply in province to make it easier for me, for my kids, for my partner, for my parents, for the people that I serve.
It's so much studying.
Oh, you think that if you go to med school now, there won't be a lot of studying. I see.
I think there will be slightly less equations. Yeah, shit. I probably have to write another MCAT.
I just want to know, you said before that you don't trust yourself. What does that mean?
I am always afraid that if I haven't essentially already accomplished something, I might never get back to it. I'm afraid I'm going to drop an important ball and never pick it up again.
Have you done that before?
I don't think so.
Do you think you would drop an important ball on purpose?
No. But I do wonder, with a lot of my attention on learning with such a wide scope, it takes a lot of brain power, and my work takes a lot of brain power. And how much attention will I have left to pay close attention to my children who are changing all of the time? Do I have enough attention to do all of those things? Like 100% capacity Sarah, probably yes. But we're not 100% capacity Sarah all of the time.
No.
I have a tendency to plan my life as though I am 100% capacity Sarah all of the time.
And again, we come to that sort of like 100% or 0%, right? It's either like, I'm going to give 100% or I'm going to drop the balls.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's other percent Sarahs that we can meet. Right? Is there a 60-40 Sarah? 60% to medical school, 40% to her children and family, or...
Yeah. There is a world where just enough is still enough.
Just enough is still enough. Rather than more than enough?
Perfection or bust.
100%. It's interesting what you're saying, because we sometimes do have that idea that enough is not enough. Right? Giving enough is subpar.
Yeah. Anything less than your best.
Right? Like if you think about it in numbers, in money, and I say, this thing I'm going to sell you is 30. And you say, oh, I have enough. I have 30. That's one Sarah. Another one says, oh, no, I need to pay you 70. And I'm like, nope, 30 is enough. Does that metaphor work? Can you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. And also the diminishing returns. Obsessive level of focus and commitment versus just enough when that leaves me, hopefully, with enough of me to still be providing enough in every other place.
There you go.
Has a lot more bang for its buck, if you will.
There you go. Right? If I give enough to a patient to save their life, then I still have enough left to come home to my kids.
Yeah, this is a good problem to tackle before becoming a physician, actually, because I will still be obsessive and have poor work-life balance.
My dad had surgery last week, and I was in the waiting room, and the doctor came out, and she was in her street clothes, and she had her purse, and she said, "Left your dad in recovery. He's fine. He's still under. I'm going with my kids to the beach. Let me know if you guys need anything." And I'm going to be honest, in that moment, I was like, well, this is not okay for a doctor to do this. And then, there's like 30 nurses in there who took care of my dad, got him where he needed to be. He came out. He was happy. The doctor was with her family at the beach. Now I'm thinking about this and I'm like, yeah, that doctor gave enough.
Yeah, honestly, my first thought was good for her. That is hard to do. That is hard to do.
So we're sort of winding down a different road right now. I think there's information for you, but I want to sort of bring us back to the question that you brought for us. Should I apply to medical school again? And I'm just wondering, where are you sitting with that right now? What's the feeling?
I think that I should apply to Calgary and maybe Hamilton, but not to all of them, even though I could. But I think that I also need to try and get a group of MCAT studiers like I wished that I had when I was studying for the MCAT the first time. And I think that it's BC that I want to be in. Every part of that process is smoother. Getting into residency is smoother, costs less money, your odds are better. Every future step is actually a little bit smoother if I can start and stay in the province.
So, to be honest, that answer just surprised me a little bit. And I'm curious, if you get into Calgary, you said you're going to apply to Calgary and Hamilton. What happens if Calgary says yes?
I freak out. But Calgary is not too much farther than Prince George. And I think the odds are exceptionally unlikely. I'm not Albertan. They get so many people.
But what happens if they say yes?
Then I assume that there might be a reason for this statistical miracle.
So if they said yes, would you stop studying for the MCAT?
Yep, because then I'd be prepping for med school.
Okay, so if they said yes, you would accept.
Oof, I think so.
And then you'll call us and we'll figure out the logistics.
I will require logistics help. Yeah. But I would want to.
Yeah, okay.
I know I'm putting the now or never back onto it, but
I want you to be conscious of the double bind of the now or never. We don't need to eliminate it. I just want you to see it rather than it be acting unconsciously.
Mm-hmm. So applying to only one or two is still a bit of a compromise, because what you should do is apply to absolutely all of them. And that way you get interview practice and applications practice. And like the 100% best possible med school applicant would absolutely be applying to all of the options. So electing not to do that and electing not to have all of the interview practice that I could have, we're just going to maybe see what happens.
So what I'm hearing is you're doing enough to feel like you did something, but you're not doing 100,000%.
I'm not doing the 100%. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're doing enough so that you don't feel that hole in your stomach that says, ugh, I didn't apply and I only get one opportunity a year. And what if I drop this important ball?
Yeah. It would maybe be more rebellious of me to totally not, but I don't know if that's the way. I think I can handle one application. One, maybe two.
Okay.
I think that feels a bit more like balance.
Okay. I love that. So we are at the end of August. I'm going to call you in November and see how you're doing. Is that okay?
Yes, please. We love an accountability buddy.
Yeah, just see what you've chosen, what you've decided.
It's nice to have something to look forward to in November. Canadian November is very dreary.
Well, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for having this show. It's a lovely thing that exists in the world.
This has been The Real Question. Our show is funded through our Patreon at patreon.com/realquestionpod. Another way you can support this show is by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Real Question Pod. We are always looking for more guests. Go to our website, realquestionpod.com, and submit your question. You might just get to have a conversation with me right here on the podcast. We love to shout out our BFF tier patrons: Renee Underhill, Amanda Schramm, Christina Igu Brandon, and Jackson Paul Keeley. A shout out to all of you guys, and thank you so much for your support. We are a Not Sorry production. Our co-executive producers are Vanessa Zoltan and Ariana Nettleman. We are edited and produced by Ariana Nettleman. Music is by Nick Bowl, and we are distributed by Acast. Support for this show comes from the Fetzer Institute. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us today. Thank you for asking the same question an hour after Clinton asked that question. Thank you for taking us on a different journey and for giving us access to your very caring heart. And thanks as always to our wonderful team: Julia Argy, Nikki Zoltan, AJ Yaramas, Anissa Ahmed, Danny Langley, Courtney Brown, Casper Turkile, and Stephanie Paulsell. This has been another episode of The Real Question. Join us next week for another conversation and another question.